Tav X, purity becoming one. Tav X, purity becoming one. Tav X, for all those new people that may watch this when I upload it. Why is he saying Tav X? Tav X is the foreign numeric value of the Phoenician Hebrew alphabet. It means purity becoming one. In Hosea chapter 8, the Most High asked, through the minor prophet Hosea, asked a question. He said, is Israel capable of purity? If you read Malachi 3:6, the Most High changes not. He's going to ask the same question at the end. And we're approaching the end. I'm not setting dates, but what I'm going to tell you in this video is our captivity. I didn't say the end, but our captivity is in sight now for those that can see it. And I'm going to reveal it in two clips. There ain't gonna really be no scripture to it because it's gonna speak for itself. So definitely gonna wait. I'm gonna wait like 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes, because this is very intriguing for those who are really sold out 2 feet in to the Most High, the glorious covenant He gave us, keeping the laws, undivided loyalty, worshiping Him alone as a creator and savior, redeemer, helper, protector alone. This is going to be interesting video for you. I'm going to give my commentary, but that's all. It's going to say everything. And for those that have eyes to see, you're going to see and say, oh shit, yeah, this thing is closer than I thought. I didn't say the end of the end, or you'll be taken into the wilderness. No, but the end of our captors, their system. And then, other things have to come about. So it's very, very, when I saw the clips, I said, I know I said to the people, I'm going to be doing a teaching video. But when I saw this, I said, I got to hold off on this teaching video. I got to put this up. And my thumbnail, as you can see, is a very beautiful thumbnail I created with Mr. AI guy. I told him what I wanted. And I wanted some other things, like the scene from the Planet of the Apes, but without the apes, and half of the Empire Statue of Liberty coming out. And they didn't want to make none of it. I can't make none of those political things. I said, there ain't nothing political about this, whatever. And it just wouldn't let me. I was maybe 30 minutes talking, texting with that AI. Yo, create this image for me. And didn't want to. I had to fool it, trick it. And it made me this, which is excellent. The American dream will soon be dead. Our captivity land and our oppressor overseers will be soon be vanquished. Not their system, their power. This is going to be a powerful video. The clips and so forth that I'm going to show you. Then I'm going to give my commentary. Nothing else is going to be said. The Most High is wonderful. And some of us can't see it because, you're working 2 or 3 jobs. You're tired out of your mind. Sleeping 2 or 3 hours a day. You got your bills, your family, car repairs, car insurance, rent, food, gas. You ain't thinking about this. But the Most High has allowed me to have time to think about these things. Remember in Ecclesiastes, I'm a student of King Solomon. It says the Most High does in Ecclesiastes, the Most High does everything at the precise time. And then He puts eternity in your mind. Well, He's put that in my mind, and I'm going to share it with you right now, because this American dream that's not just circling, is going down now. It's not just circling the top, it's going down. And it's close to the bottom. You don't realize how close it is because you're too busy. You're too busy on TikTok, Instagram, Netflix, Hulu, and whatever else you're watching and doing. So you can't see it, but I'm going to bring it out to you today in this video. So anyway, we're at 5 minutes, 6 seconds. I'm going to give them like 7 minutes. So you got like 2 minutes more, 2 minutes, 2 minutes and a half. And right now I got Damone for Yah on deck. I got James Hardy on deck, and it'll just be us two on the live chat. There could be people watching that are not in the live chat column here. They just may be watching, but if they're not, hey, that's them. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna watch this, and then we're gonna come. You're gonna send me your comments. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions and see your take on what I just showed you, which to me is amazing. Seeing the Most High work, see His work, and it's going past a lot of you guys, not on the live chat, but it's going past a lot of you guys because they've made you too busy. You can't see anything, but it's really the Most High put it right in front of your face, and a lot of you can't see it, but I'm going to reveal it to you. What's right in front of your face that you can't see, or you refuse to see because you're too busy, too tired. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the first video. Let me see how long it is, but you gotta watch it. It's just crazy. Let me see how many minutes it is. It's 15 minutes, like 16 minutes, but it's going to be the most worthwhile. See, for the people that are in it, you people that are like on the fence, you got one foot in this and one foot out, just get off the channel. We're late in the stage of the game. Oh, I hope they're interested. This is a Hebrew. Let me say this before we start. This is a Torah and Tanakh only Hebrew channel. We're not Messianic Hebrews. We're not Christians or any other world religion. This is not a religion. We just keep the laws of the Mosaic laws was brought down from Mount Sinai, Mount Horeb. We don't read the New Testament. I'm a teacher, a Koheleth. So, I go over if I need to bring out a point, I can bring it out of the New Testament. New Testament is not scripture. It's epistles and letters. Amos 3:7, the Most High does nothing without revealing it to his prophets. Let me repeat that. Amos 3:7, the Most High does nothing. Nothing means nothing. The Most High does nothing without revealing it to his prophets first. That's the Old Testament. Guess what? Your New Testament, Christians and Messianic, is epistles and letters. Apostles and disciples are not prophets. This is Hebrew 101. You don't got it. That's why none of you can come on and debate with me because you don't got the elementary fundamentals down. So the only valid scripture you call the Old Testament, we Torah and Tanakh only Israelites, we call it the Tanakh. Okay? Okay, get off of here.
Global superpowers in the last 500.
What the hell? So this is a Torah and Tanakh only channel. Hold on. This is a Torah and Tanakh only channel. We don't deal with those apocryphers, those new book jubilees, bells and dragons. We ain't into none of those pseudepigrapher books. We deal with the Tanakh, and that's what you guys. You're dealing with everything else, and you don't know the foundation of everything, which is you call it the Old Testament. And all the 12 tribes of Israel are Negro types. We are the people that are described out of Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26. We've been scattered to the four corners of this flat earth, who only suffer the curses of Deuteronomy 20 and Leviticus 26. And no other people group on earth suffer these curses. And you want to know why I'm making this video too? Because the the apex, the the highest point of the Israelite story in the world, we got to be honest, is based in America. There's other Negroes that are the other tribes. They're all over the place in the islands and other countries because of Ezekiel chapter 36. Israel is in all the nations, have been scattered to all the nations. But the core, the crux of the Israelite and the Israelite story, main theme that all the world knows is the America, is the AKA Babylon. You know it's true. So I'm going to give you the fall of Babylon in America and the American dream. Their system is not just circling at the top of the toilet bowl drain. It's really close to going into the sewer pipes very soon. Very soon. Mark my words, very soon. Now, I didn't say the end of the earth, Most High, the great and terrible, awesome day of the Most High, going into the wilderness. Things have to go in succession. But this succession, where our oppressors are going to be on the world stage, totally humiliated, embarrassed, can no longer stick out their chest, no longer the leader of the earth. We're going to be released from that grip that they had on it. And the Most High is doing it right in front of our eyes. All right, so let me get into this. I'm going to reveal to you, I'm going to put fair use in it. I'm going to reveal to you the 7 stages of the collapse pattern of America. I said, listen, the 7 stages of the collapse pattern of America. And the author of this video into geopolitics said we are in stage 5. Collapse can come not just at stage 7, at stage 6. And we are at stage 5. So that's why I got to say, you got to listen to it. It's going to give you history. Don't be bored of always talking about Spain and Britain. He's going to get right into it. All merges together. He's going to get right to America. And it's going to show you the same pattern. We're in stage 5. And stage 6 or 7, that's where the collapse happens. So we're not circling the top now. We're at the edge, at the bottom, getting ready, like a piece of hard, clumpy dookie. It's getting ready to go in. That's where America is. Most High is bringing us, when the Israelites left Egypt, we're getting ready to walk to the Red Sea. That's what's happening. But the modern day Red Sea was the great and terrible, awesome day of the Most High, the wilderness, and then that's it, and then the new kingdom. So we're coming to this section, our captivity land, like Egypt, when the Most High flooded, when the Most High did the last plague in Egypt, which was the firstborn will die, firstborn of the cattle. That's when they released the Israelites. Israelites walked in the wilderness to the Sea of Reeds, to the Red Sea. Most High opened the Red Seas up. Israelites are starting to walk on dry land to the other side to get to the wilderness to start going where the Most High wants. Then the Most High said, I'm going to show my power. I'm going to put it in the crazy head of that Pharaoh. No, let's go back and get the Israelites. Let's kill a lot of them and bring the rest back in captivity. So Pharaoh went out, and his army got to the dry land section in the Red Sea, and the Most High collapsed the water walls and drowned the whole army. Left a few alive to go back and tell Pharaoh, yo, your whole army's gone. And this is what you're seeing. These are the stages. We're in the 5th stage. Stage 6 and 7 is collapse. Collapse can come in stage 6, or collapse can come in stage 7. And we are at the precipice. This is why this video I feel is very important. It should make you happy. It's going to be scary because it has to deal with finances, and we got to deal with this. But this is a time where we're going to have to trust and have total faith in the Most High, like the Israelites did. Well, the hierarchy of Israel Moses, Aaron, Caleb, Joshua, those guys, Miriam, the faith of the Most High is going to get you through. And that's what we need. So listen, check out my thumbnail. If you looked at it quick, the American dream is going to be done. We don't care about the reparations. They ain't going to give it to us. They don't even got the money to give it to us. We don't care about that. The Most High is going to put retribution on them, and he's going to restore the correct restitution to the nation of Israel, his chosen people. Don't have to worry about that. Let's enjoy it. Watch the first 15 minutes, and then I'm going to give you the next clip, which is only a couple minutes, and it's going to explain why we're so close. And they're hiding it on the news because they want to keep the MAGA groupies. Yeah, we're okay still. No, you're not. The Most High is working for us, Israel. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. That's why I didn't want to show it there. I wanted to show it on the big screen. Let me get it a little closer. Let me turn this fan off so you can listen to it. And remember, there's 2 steps. There's 2 steps left. There's 2 steps left. Israelite, there's 2 steps left in the collapse of the land of our captivity. And in stage 6 or 7, it can collapse in either one of them. So we're not spinning at the top of the toilet bowl circling. We're already at the bottom. Here we go. Listen attentively. Those who have eyes to see, those who have ears to hear, you're going to know that we are close to the land of our captivity being destroyed like Egypt. But other things still got to go on. Check it out.
Years. And right now in 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern.
Here we go.
There's a pattern in history that has destroyed 3 global superpowers in the last 500 years. And right now in 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern, stage by stage, decision by decision, almost like we're reading from the same script that led to catastrophe every single time before. In 1590, Spain was the richest empire on earth. They controlled half the world's gold and silver. Their military dominated Europe. Their currency was accepted everywhere. Within 80 years, they were bankrupt, a second-rate power that never recovered. In 1914, Britain ruled the largest empire in human history. The sun never set on British territory. The pound sterling was the global reserve currency. Within 40 years, the empire was gone. The currency collapsed. They became America's junior partner. In 1991, the Soviet Union was the other superpower. Nuclear weapons, global influence, spanning the globe. It ceased to exist in 900 days, not from war, but from economic implosion. 3 times. 3 superpowers. 3 complete collapses, all following the exact same sequence. And here's what should terrify you. The United States has already completed 5 of the 7 stages. We're not approaching the pattern. We're deep inside it. This is the story of how empires die, why they always think they're different, and why the math says that the United States is next. And it's happening faster than anyone wants to admit. Before we go through the pattern, you need to understand what imperial collapse actually looks like. Not in textbooks, but in practice. What it means when a superpower dies. Imperial collapse doesn't start with invasion or military defeat. It starts with economic exhaustion. The empire extends beyond its ability to maintain itself. Military bases in 150 countries, wars on multiple fronts, promises it cannot keep, debts it cannot repay. At first, the decline is invisible. The currency still works, the military still wins battles, the government still makes promises. But beneath the surface, the foundation is cracking. Resources are misallocated, productive capacity shrinks, the best and brightest people leave, and then comes the acceleration. Allies start hedging, enemies test boundaries, trade partners seek alternatives, the reserve currency status erodes, and suddenly the advantages that made you powerful become vulnerabilities. Your currency, once demanded by everyone, comes flooding back home. Your military spread across the world becomes unsustainable. Your promises, once guaranteed by strength, become empty words. That's not theoretical. That's what happened to Spain, Britain, and the Soviet Union. And it happened because they made exactly the same decisions that America is making now. They believed their power was permanent. They overextended militarily. They debased their currency, and they refused to accept reality until collapse was already underway. Let's look at how it actually happened 3 times the exact same way. Let's start with the first global empire, Spain, from the 1500s to the 1600s. After Columbus discovered the Americas in 1492, Spain became the first true world power. They conquered the Aztec and Inca empires, seized control of the richest gold and silver mines ever discovered. By 1550, Spanish ships were bringing home 200 tons of silver per year. By 1600, over 400 tons annually. Spain controlled the money supply of Europe. The Spanish reals was the global reserve currency. Everyone wanted Spanish silver, and this is where the pattern begins with a country that controls the money of the world and believes that it makes them invincible. King Philip II, who ruled from 1556 to 1598, had more money than any monarch in history, and he spent it on empire. Stage 1 is military overextension. Spain fought wars everywhere, simultaneously against the Ottoman Empire in the Mediterranean, against France and Italy, against Protestant rebels in the Netherlands, against England's navy, wars in the Philippines and wars in the Americas. By 1580, Spain had military commitments on 4 continents. The cost was staggering. Half of Spain's revenue went to the military, and still, it wasn't enough. Stage 2 is currency debasement. The Spanish crown couldn't pay its bills with taxes alone, so they did what every failing empire does. They debased the currency. They started mixing copper into silver coins. A coin that was supposed to be pure silver became 50% copper, then 75% copper. The face value stayed the same, but the real value plummeted. By 1600, Spanish silver coins contained barely any silver. Merchants stopped accepting them at face value. Inflation exploded. Stage 3 is debt spiral. Spain borrowed constantly from Italian bankers, from German bankers, from anyone who would lend. By 1557, less than 20 years into Philip's reign, Spain declared bankruptcy. They defaulted on their debts, restructured, and kept borrowing. They declared bankruptcy again in 1560, again in 1575, again in 1596. 4 bankruptcies in 40 years. Each time they promised reforms. Each time they went right back to borrowing and spending. Stage 4 is loss of productive capacity. Here's what people don't understand about Spain's collapse. They had all the gold and silver in the world, and it destroyed them, because when you have unlimited money, you stop producing. Why grow food when you can import it? Why build ships when you can buy them? Why innovate when you can just spend? Spanish nobility considered every work beneath them. As a result, manufacturing declined and agriculture stagnated. All the wealth flowed to importing goods from other countries. The gold and silver that came from the Americas went straight back out to pay for French wine, Italian silk, and Dutch goods. Spain became a conduit. Wealth flowed through them, but none of it stayed. By 1600, Spain was producing almost nothing. They were entirely dependent on imports, entirely dependent on silver to pay for everything. And when the silver mines began to deplete, when production dropped, the entire system collapsed. Stage 5 is social decay. With a failing economy, crime exploded. Beggars filled the streets of Madrid. Productive citizens immigrated. The best minds left for France, England, and the Netherlands. The countries that were building, creating, and growing. Spain was left with bureaucrats, soldiers, and priests. No one was creating wealth. Everyone was consuming it. By 1640, Spain lost Portugal. By 1650, they lost the Netherlands, their richest territory. And by 1700, the Spanish Empire was a shell, still large on paper, but economically dead. They went from the world's superpower to a secondary power in less than a century, and they never recovered. Spain today is a regional European country, pleasant, cultured, but irrelevant on the world stage. The descendants of the conquistadors are a tourist destination. That's what imperial collapse looks like. Let's jump forward 300 years. It's Britain in the 1900s, the empire where the sun never set. At its peak, Britain controlled 25% of the world's land surface, 400 million subjects. The pound sterling was the global reserve currency. Every major trade contract was denominated in pounds. Every central bank held British bonds. London was the financial centre of the world. And just like Spain 300 years earlier, they believed it was permanent, but they were already following the pattern. Stage 1, the military overextension. By 1900, Britain had military commitments everywhere. India, Africa, the Middle East, China, the Pacific, the Caribbean. They had to defend territory on 6 continents. The cost was enormous. And when World War I started in 1914, Britain faced a choice. Stay neutral and let Europe destroy itself, or jump in and bankrupt the empire to win. They chose to fight. World War I cost Britain over $40 billion. That's $1 trillion in today's money. They borrowed from everyone, mostly from the United States. By 1918, Britain Britain owed America billions. The creditor had become the debtor, but they'd won the war. They kept the empire. They thought they could rebuild, but they were wrong. Stage 2, currency debasement. The pound sterling was supposed to be backed by gold, but the war had drained Britain's gold reserves. They'd shipped gold to America to pay for weapons, food, supplies. By 1920, Britain's gold reserves were half what they had been in 1914, but they tried to maintain the pound's value anyway. They went back on the gold standard at the pre-war rate in 1925. The problem was that the pound was overvalued. British exports became too expensive. Manufacturing declined, unemployment rose, and the government had to keep interest rates high to defend the currency. This destroyed the domestic economy. By 1931, they couldn't hold it anymore. Britain abandoned the gold standard. The pound lost 25% of its value overnight. Stage 3, the debt spiral. Britain never recovered from World War I debt, and then World War II started. Another $120 billion in costs, more borrowing from America. By 1945, Britain owed the United States and Canada over $30 billion more than Britain's entire GDP. The war was won, but the empire was finished. They couldn't defend it anymore, couldn't afford it, couldn't maintain it. Stage 4, the loss of empire. In 1947, Britain gave up India, the crown jewel, and the source of wealth for 200 years gone. Over the next 20 years, they lost everything: Africa, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and the Caribbean. By 1970, the British Empire existed only in history books. Stage 5, the currency collapse. The pound kept falling. In 1940, £1 equaled $403. By 1950, $280. By 1970, $240. By 1980, £2 equaled 30, and today it's fallen to £27. The global reserve currency became a regional currency. Britain tried to maintain permanent seat on the UN Security Council, nuclear weapons, special relationship with America. But everyone knew the truth. They were a former power, a museum of what used to be great. The empire was gone and it never came back. Now let's look at the most recent example, the Soviet Union, which ruled from 1945 to 1991. After World War II, the USSR emerged as a superpower. They had nuclear weapons, massive military control over Eastern Europe, satellites in space, and they believed they were the future, and communism would bury capitalism and the Soviet model would dominate. For 45 years, they competed with America, matched USA militarily, built more tanks, more missiles, more troops, but beneath the surface, the economy was dying. Stage 1, the military overextension. The Soviet Union spent 15 to 20% of GDP on the military. That's triple of what America spent. They had to match American technology, American reach, American alliances. They were in Afghanistan, propping up Cuba, supporting Syria, Vietnam, North Korea, Angola, Ethiopia. Everywhere America had influence, they had to counter. The cost was unsustainable. Stage 2, the economic stagnation. The Soviet economy stopped growing in the 1970s. Oil revenue kept them afloat, but nothing else worked. Factories produced junk, farms failed, technology fell decades behind. By the 1980s, the Soviet Union was importing grain. A country with some of the best farmland on earth couldn't feed itself. Why? Because central planning doesn't work, because innovation dies under control, because no one produces when there's no incentive. Stage 3, currency collapsed. The ruble was never a real currency. It couldn't be exchanged internationally. Even Soviet citizens didn't trust it. They used dollars when they could get them. The government had to buy foreign goods with gold and oil because nobody wanted rubles. By 1985, oil prices dropped. Soviet gold reserves were depleting. They were running out of real money. Stage 4, the loss of empire. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. Eastern Europe left. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, East Germany, all gone in a year. The satellites that gave the Soviet Union strategic depth vanished. The Soviet government couldn't stop it, and they were broke. Stage 5, the complete collapse. On December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union ceased to exist. 900 days from Berlin Wall to complete dissolution. No war, no invasion, just economic implosion. The military couldn't be paid. The government couldn't function. The ruble became worthless. A superpower with 30,000 nuclear weapons collapsed from internal economic failure. The pattern played out again: overextension, currency failure, debt, loss of empire, and finally collapse. And here's what should keep you awake at night. The United States is following the exact same pattern, stage by stage. Let me show you how. Stage 1, the military overextension. The United States has over 750 military bases in 80 countries. It has troops in 150 countries. It is committed committed to defending Europe through NATO, defending Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, fighting in the Middle East, countering China, countering Russia. Its military budget is $850 billion annually, more than the next 10 countries combined. But the equipment is aging, recruitment is down, and USA has commitments it cannot fulfill. If China invades Taiwan, if Russia pushes into NATO territory, if Iran closes the Persian Gulf, it cannot respond to all of it simultaneously. USA is overextended, just like Spain, just like Britain, just like the USSR. Stage 2, the currency debasement. In 1971, Nixon closed the gold window. The dollar became pure fiat currency. Since 2000, the money supply has increased 400%. Since 2020, USA has printed over $6 trillion. The dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power since 1971. USA is not mixing copper into silver coins. It is just printing unlimited paper. The mechanism is different, but the result is the same. Stage 3, the debt spiral. The United States owes $36 trillion, and that's 120% of the GDP. Interest payments alone are approaching $1 trillion per year. It is spending more on interest than on defense. The economy runs deficits every year, $1.8 trillion in 2024 in a growing economy. During peacetime, it borrows to pay interest on previous borrowing. That's the definition of a debt spiral. Spain defaulted 4 times. Britain borrowed until it collapsed. The USSR ran out of money. America is on the same path. Stage 4, the loss of productive capacity. America doesn't make things anymore. It designs, finance, and consumes, but don't produce. Its manufacturing base has been gutted, shipped to China, Mexico, and Vietnam. USA imports $800 billion more than it exports annually. It is dependent on foreign supply chains for everything: medicine, electronics, steel, even military components. Just like Spain became dependent on imports while the silver flowed out, USA is dependent on imports while dollars flow out. Stage 5, social decay. Trust in institutions is that no one needs to hold it anymore, and we're seeing early signs. BRICS nations are developing alternatives. Central banks are buying gold. China and Russia are trading in yuan and rubles. Saudi Arabia is accepting yuan for oil. The cracks are forming. Stage 7 is total collapse, not gradual decline, sudden implosion. The Soviet Union went from superpower to non-existent in 900 days. Britain lost the empire in 20 years. Spain took longer, but the result was the same. When the reserve currency fails, when the debt becomes impossible, when the military can't be funded, it doesn't decline gracefully. It collapses quickly, brutally. And everyone who thought it couldn't happen here learns the same lesson every empire learns. It can, and it does. 3 empires followed this pattern: Spain, Britain, the USSR. Each believed they were exceptional. Each believed they were different. Each believed the rules didn't apply to them, or they were wrong every single time. The pattern doesn't care about exceptionalism. The pattern is mathematical. You cannot spend beyond your means forever. You cannot maintain empire without productive capacity. You cannot debase your currency without consequences. You cannot avoid stage 6 and 7 once you've completed 1 through 5. The sequence is locked in. The only question is timing. Maybe America has 10 years, maybe 5, or maybe less. But the pattern says that the collapse is coming. And when it comes, it won't be slow. It'll be sudden. Do subscribe to the channel if this opens your eyes.
Listen,
See you in another video.
I'm gonna give you a little
There's
comment.
a pattern in history.
I'm gonna give you.
I'm
Let me give you a little commentary. At the end, he said maybe America, and he's talking about 2025, but it's like the end of 2025, going into 2026. We just started 2026, and he said stage 6 is the reserve currency collapse, and this is why I want you to see the next one, because Iran, the Iran-American-Israel war. There's no honor between devils. They're plotting against us. Remember, at the end, Joel 2, they're going to be all fighting against each other. So guess what? You know what Iran just did? Iran said, we ain't releasing no oil and gas from this canal here, whatever it's called, the canal Hormuz or something like that. And we're putting mines in the water. No ships are coming in. But guess what their plan was? And they've been planning this from the beginning. Trump, your orange president, they're not too bright, because remember, before pride comes before the fall. America, Babylon is going to fall, because guess what? You know what stage 5 is. That's why you had to watch that whole thing. Stage 6 is the reserve currency. Well, guess what Iran did? And I'm going to show you in the next clip. They called all the nations in the world and said, listen, we put the mines in the water, so none of those tanker oil ships are coming in here. All you guys are going to get it. But you know what they did? They called all the nations and said, listen, for anybody, any nation that wants to get their oil because they needed to keep their nation going, we will sell them now the oil. But there's one caveat that you have to do, or we won't sell you the oil. You have to, we're not allowing you to buy our oil and gas, natural gas, with American dollars. That's the reserve currency. We are now selling the oil to any nation now. We're going to be nice to you guys, but it's a plot. It's an evil plot to get America. That's why I said, that's why my thumbnail, the American dream is done. It's just a matter of time now, not long. Or wait till your great-great-grandfathers and grandma. Nah, nigga, nah. It's coming. Iran said, we will sell you nations the oil and natural gas. You need it. But you can't buy it. You can't buy it with American dollars no more. We're not using that. You got to use the Chinese yen and we'll sell you the oil. Remember, China's helping Iran, Russia. You got a plan going. So they just said, we're going to help you nations out. So I know you desperately need the oil and natural gas from us and stuff like that. So we will sell it to you, but with one caveat, with one regulation. That's the only way we're going to sell it to you. The only way we're going to sell it to you is because, remember, any nation in the world from yesterday all the way back in America's history had to buy the oil because it was based on you purchasing all the oil from the Middle East and the natural gas and stuff like that with American dollars because it's the reserve currency of the world. That's why I showed you this first video. It says we're on stage 5. Stage 6 and 7 of the collapse is when America dollar is no longer the reserve currency. The reserve currency is the money that can only buy the oil and gas from the Middle East. And Iran told the world will sell you now the oil, even though we're still have this war with Israel and America. We'll sell you the oil and the natural gas. No more American dollars, only in Chinese yen. So that means the American reserve currency for the world for buying oil is done. I told you, we are on the precipice of our captors or our oppressor, the land of our captivity, modern Israel's, not modern Israel, modern day America, aka Babylon, aka Egypt, that's where they got pyramids on the back of the dollar, is at the end of their rope. So some of you guys, or you women, are that's why I showed you this video first. Stage 6, it can collapse. Stage 7, it can collapse. And this video was made in 2025, at the end of 2025. It's only like 3 months into the new year. So this thing is relevant. And we already in now stage 6. Iran, you're gonna see in the next clip, they have announced to the world, we will be nice and allow you to buy the oil, but no more in dollars. So America reserve currency is no longer. The world got to use China's yen to buy the oil. So I tell you, we're no longer circling at the top of the toilet bowl. Not in the middle. We're at the bottom getting ready for the final flush cocketh flush. That's what's going on. So I wanted to share that with you. But I want you to hear um, the next video clip. And then I'm going to read your comments. Hopefully you're excited. Listen, don't think for 1 second that in my mind, people that got, IRAs, pensions, uh, your job, your salaries, and all that, it's going to be in jeopardy. Uh, World superpower number one is getting ready to exit stage left. So our faith in the Most High, this is a test. Remember, in Deuteronomy 8, he said, I made them hunger to see what was in their hearts, and then I gave them manna. Malachi 3:6, the Most High changes not. We're going to be tested. Our faith is going to be tested because things all are going to be stripped away. You should know everything is temporary anyway. A lot of us, we live our lives like everything is permanent. Permanent, that's why my thumbnail, the dream. The American dream, apple pie, house, cars, living good and whatever. Nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. The American dream is at the bottom of the water, the toilet bowl already. At the bottom. Getting ready to be sucked into the pipes. A lot of you guys don't realize that. But wait till you hear the next video. Fair use, fair use. And it's going to be short. So I'm only going to play a couple of it because it's from a Messianic Hebrew woman. But I go by chew the meat, spit out the bones. She got the stuff on it, and I'm going to share it with you. Fair use. Fair use, fair use. 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance made for fair use for such as criticism, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. That was for the first video, and this first video that we just saw. Now it's going to be on the second one, but we're only going to watch part of it. Stage 7, and you needed to see the whole thing. Okay, let me put it here. I don't like to use Messianic Hebrews, but she got the clips, and it's more easier for me just to get it done. So we're going to get it done. You should be happy, and if you're not serious with the Most High, get serious. It's 2026. It's going to be fireworks.
US dollar. It doesn't matter what nation it is. When they go to trade for oil,
hold on,
then they can come in with ease. They don't have to worry about anything. And they will not accept US dollars. US dollars not allowed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for decades, trade has, especially for oil, has always been in US dollar. It doesn't matter what nation it is. When they go to trade for oil, it's always an exchange with US money. Well, now you know why Russia and China have been meeting with their ally, Iran. Because this was all in the works. Remember, China and Russia are also BRIC nations. And I'm sure this has been in the works for a long time. So the petrodollar is out as far as trading for oil. That is huge. That is huge. That means China is going to be the one raking in all the dough from oil. So, oh yes. Now, the only thing Donald Trump can do is try to threaten any nation that uses China's money, but it's not illegal for nations to do that. They can use China money if that's what they want to do. You know, they can do this. You can't tell somebody they're not allowed to have certain foreign money, you know, because you're at war with them. But it just goes to show you, America did this whole thing unplanned. They did it unplanned, y'all, and it shows. It shows. So, America, I would not be surprised if these ships are scrambling to get that money now so that they can get whatever oil they need for their countries and they can finally go home. So this is not a one-time deal, y'all. Their intent is to use the Chinese yuan permanently. Permanently, no more US dollar. So it will be interesting. I saw the stories and I'm going to show you the video. So you can find this if you go to any of the news out there and you can Google this and you'll find the story. So, you know, boy, this is going to hurt the U.S. big time, which means, yeah, so now the oil is going to soar even more. Oil and gas, oh, yeah, it's going to be skyrocketing big time in this country behind this. That is like unimaginable money that the U.S. will not get anymore. All right, y'all, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Iran is coming for your savings. Iran could allow limited trade through Hormuz Strait, but only in yuan. Iran is considering allowing a limited number of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz if cargo is traded in Chinese yuan, according to senior Iranian official. They're coming for the dollar now. But those of you that got your savings in the USD, your money, the value is going to go like this very soon if this works out. If everybody who agrees to this deal, all the European nations who trade in dollar, everyone, all you have to do now to get free access to the Strait of Hormuz is to agree to trade in yuan, Chinese yuan. And you know China obviously is going to profit from this, and you know there's going to be a kickback to Iran. This shit is crazy. If you go to my TikTok, back up TikTok.
Y'all, the nations are going to agree to do this because Donald Trump has messed up all of the relationships with allies except for Israel. But everyone else, he's messed up all of the relationships. So now they see an opportunity to screw the U.S. over, and you think they won't do it? Hell yeah, they gonna do it. Hell yeah, they probably fighting to go get the Chinese yuan right now. They probably running to get it now. And they, you know, the world don't like Donald Trump. So this is a way to really stick it to Donald Trump for real. And all he can do is sit back and watch. Who's going to really be afraid of the U.S. threat when you're doing so poorly in warfare with Iran? People are looking at that. You think they're going to be scared of you? They're not. They're not. So I'm going to definitely keep a watch on this to see how many countries actually use the China yuan to get their oil and then go back home. Definitely going to watch this one. Let's continue.
And American dominance and hegemony in the world. Who knows? The idiocy, the lack of foresight that Trump and his administration and the greedy oil barons that he serves and the industrial military complex has the tables turned on them. Will it work? Your guess is as good as mine. Anyways, what do you think about this? Will it work?
There's also news that Iran is considering something very weird. They're considering now to only let oil tankers through the strait if the cargo is paid in Chinese yuan, ditching the US dollar for most trades. Have you seen that?
I have.
There's something happening behind the scenes with China. They're incentivizing China to support them further.
They're either incentivizing China to help further, or they're just mocking the United States, knowing that that would be even more fatal than a military loss if you lost the petrodollar. And if people were able to say, I don't care, I'll take yuan, I'll take whatever, as long as we get the oil out here. If there's enough pressure on that, I think that that would be the bigger issue. Believe me, the United States will do everything it can to prevent that from happening, even more than the combat itself. So, but if somehow that was happening, and you have to, and I won't say guarantee, but likely that the Chinese were open to that, and certainly be happy if that happened.
And this dude seemed to think the United States got all kinds of power. Let me tell you something. You can't tell a country what currency they can and cannot use. Okay? I guess it's been a certain way for these folks for so long. They think they are invincible. You're not. In order for them to make this decision, they already know they can pull this off, y'all. They already know they can pull it off. Look at how many, when Donald Trump put all those tariffs out, look how many people, there's nations now that refuse to buy U.S. goods. If Donald Trump could do something about that, why didn't he? Why didn't Donald Trump do anything when countries start saying they would no longer buy U.S. goods because they didn't like all those tariffs that Donald Trump put on nations around the globe? They can't move U.S. goods anymore, y'all. So if he had so much power, why didn't he put his foot down and demand that these countries continue to buy U.S. goods? I'm just asking questions. But according to this guy, Donald Trump's not going to let that happen. Well, how come he let the U.S. goods just sit and collect dust if he don't let things happen? Man, go somewhere and sit down. I think when your power is no longer there, y'all gonna crash out. Y'all gonna crash out. This guy talked like this war didn't even happen, and Donald Trump still got all this might. This war happened, and the U.S. has fallen short. Israel has fallen short. The one that got all the might right now is Iran. So not only are they militarily kicking your ass, they are able to outbox your ass just using their brains. So you're falling short on all levels right now. And this guy is talking like, you're going to come with our muscle. Yeah, they're going to laugh at your muscle. That's what they're going to laugh at your muscle. There are so many countries around this globe that despise Donald Trump. They'll seize this as an opportunity to cut the U.S. off. You think they won't do that? Do you really believe they won't do that? And Donald Trump got the authority to stop them? Really? The dude is delusional. He definitely got to be MAGA. Let's go on.
Happen, but at some point we may have get to the position where
the West is going to have to say, are we going to keep letting tankers go through the Gulf that are either, regardless of what they're paying for, it's like Chinese ships going out. Iran has been sending ships out. And they're making more, at least according to the Wall Street Journal, than they had before the war started, at least up until 2 days ago. So are we going to keep letting that happen? Or are we going to finally interdict that? I mean, we've taken out Russian ships and claimed it was part of a shadow fleet or whatever. I don't know. Will we do that? Because then you have the risk of really escalating this beyond the Persian Gulf and possibly even including both Russia and or China. And this keeps getting worse. And I'm sorry, I just realized I didn't answer your question a second ago. I do have worries that a desperate Israel could resort to nuclear weapons if it drags on, a month or two or maybe three, and you're still having this damage that you were talking about a minute ago. Yeah. I do worry about that taboo breaking tradition that they have established here. So this could go a lot worse. This idea is going to be over by the end of this month. I don't even put it at 16%. I put it at none. There's no percent chance of that happening. But I'd like to see them start gaming out what the percentages are as the time goes on, that this escalates beyond the Persian Gulf and outside of the current combatants. That's what I worry about.
If you want to use the Strait of Hormuz, you need to pay us in Chinese yuan, because that is the only currency that we will accept from now on. This is the offer made by the Iranian government to the rest of the world, whoever wishes to use the Strait of Hormuz. Now, on the other hand, the Russian president made a really interesting offer to the US president if he is willing to end this war. And this news is confirmed, by the way. First of all, China is telling Iran to use yuan as its centralized currency. China wants to challenge the US. China wants to end the US dollar might. These are the analyses that we are looking at on the internet, and they are very respectable analysts, by the way. I respect them personally. But I have a simple explanation that makes much more sense in my head, at least. I will share it with you. The Iranian government made this move that they will only accept Chinese yuan to save themselves from sanctions and the after effects. I will explain. When Russia-Ukraine war started, Russia had a lot of assets in Europe, in the US. They all got confiscated after they started that war against Ukraine. The Russian ruble got hit so badly that it took the Russian government some time to stabilize their own currency, yet Russia exports a lot of oil and gas. Now, let's look at Iran. Iranian government is right now under attack by the US and Israel. If the outcome is what US and Israel wants, then there will be no more Iran left. That is crystal clear. But if Iran somehow survives, then Iranian government have to face much worse sanctions than before. And because the Iranian IRGC even is considered as, actually they are labeled as a terrorist organization. So there is no chance of them doing business with Europe or the US. Now imagine in this scenario, you have to accept a payment because these ships are going through that passage, that Strait of Hormuz, and you accepting US dollar, or let's say Britain pound, or Australian dollar, or anything. Tomorrow, if the war ends, you cannot use these currencies because these countries have already sanctioned you. So a simple explanation over here is that this is a financial strategic move that two countries that will not abide by these sanctions are China or Russia. Now, Russian ruble is very weak compared to the Chinese yuan. Chinese yuan is very stable. That is one of the reasons that Iranian government said that we will only accept these payments, that whichever vessel will pass through the Strait of Hormuz, they have to pay a tax to the Iranian government. Now, this is not because of the war. This is how it's been happening all the time. We will only accept it in Chinese yuan. So if tomorrow the war ends we can still use that currency for our benefit. This is my analysis. Now, let's go back to the second news. The Russian president, during his phone call with the US president, gave a really interesting offer to the US president, which he denied, by the way, that if he's willing to end this war, then Russia will transfer the enriched 200 kgs enriched uranium from Iran to Russia, which the US President Donald Trump denied. Now, this news is now being confirmed. Also, the US President said that Russia is helping Iran somehow because they think that we helped Ukraine, so they have to help Iran. Let us know in the comments what you all think about, first of all, our analysis on this using the Chinese yuan matter, and then what is your thought?
So let me end it there. Let me end it there. You got the picture through the two clips. First clip told you the 7 stages of a nation's collapse. And we are in stage, it says we're in stage 5, but that was 2025. It says stage 6 is the currency change. And every nation buys the oil with American dollars. Iran says, nope, it's going to be everybody that buys this oil, and we're going to let them ship tankers go through, got to buy it in Chinese yuan. So this is interesting. This is exciting news for me. I hope that they turn the screws even tighter. I know everything is going to be tough, could be scary, but this is our test. Remember with Abraham in Genesis chapter 22, he said, and now it was time to put Abraham to the test. Remember, this whole life of ours is a test to see how we approach the Most High, His law, His covenant. And it's just a test. It's a test of faith. It's a test of dedication, undivided loyalty, worship. So I hope this was informative to you. This is why I didn't do this study video, because I said, I got to put this out. We are not circling the toilet bowl at the top. We're now at the bottom of the toilet bowl. So I don't know. If you ever want, you can send me a comment or send it right now while I'm reading what you think about this. And, I gave you how I thought about the Strait of Hormuz now requiring people that want to buy the oil, the nations, you got to use Chinese yuan, and not American dollars, which has been the standard for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. Okay, again, James Harding, Todd Vex, thank you for coming in. Damone for y'all. You can tell them, folks, how the jig is up. Everyone can feel and see it's beginning. 100% Damone for y'all. That's what I wanted. That's why I made this video. Thank you for putting up fair use. User, greeting, remnant. Greetings, Damone for okay. SRD, great to have you in. Christopher Collins. That's very good. Next week, we will see the results of the U.S. arrogance in the ever so climbing gas prices, right? User, China with all the gold too. Yep, they got all the gold. Fair use, folks in the U.S. Shark Tank, great to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. With the Strait of Hormuz issue, the Red Sea issue, and being $40 trillion in debt, that's going to be the total destruction of America. This is why I made the thumbnail. I really wanted to be, remember the Planet of the Apes, where the Caucasian astronaut, I forgot his name. He's walking with next to the apes, orangutans riding on a horse. They see the Statue of Liberty. Half of it is submerged under the ocean water by the coast shoreline, and then everything else is in ruin. And that's what I try to depict, but I couldn't make that thumbnail. So my thumbnail says the dream, and it's in the water, and the American dollar's burning up, and there's ruin everywhere. So pray for the ruin. I pray for another Exodus 3 rescue mission, the same like the Most High did, because he does everything the same as he took Israel, the nation of Israel, physical Israel, out of Egyptian captivity. America, aka Babylon, aka Egypt. So hopefully this was edifying to you guys. Destruction of America at the bottom now of the toilet bowl. What about the countries under U.S. rule? Well, listen, once they, at the end of the day, you know, the bully on the block, he tells the other students what they're going to do, when they're going to eat, where they can sit, where they can stand. Now, the bully on the block has just been revealed. Iran is beating their, you know what, them and Israel at the same time. You know, the fake Disney amusement park. So you think, look at Canada. Canada said, we ain't listening to you. And Canada's the neighbor. Mexico said, we ain't listening to you. Because America showed, you should have beat Iran already. You can't. You haven't. And there's a lot of Americans that got killed already, and you're hiding that number. So lost all faith. Once faith is lost, forget about it. That's what you see right now. Shark Tank. I think all of the other nations are not comfortable with a country that is $40 trillion in debt. But if you count student loans in pensions plans, they're probably over 100 trillion. Correct. Creative on the thumbnail. Thumbnail is beautiful. Anyway, hopefully this was edifying. Pray that the Most High gives us another Exodus 3 rescue mission. Most High does everything the same. How he rescued the Israelites from the Egyptians in Egypt. Ask the Most High to rescue us now from our Babylonian, aka America, aka Egyptian captivity with our oppressor. And then, the great and terrible awesome day, the wilderness, the new kingdom, let it come. This is the new Yeshem Israel, Hebrew on the island too. Until next time.